Happy Thursday to all of you. Thanks for joining us. As always, it is very much appreciated. On location for the next few episodes. But again, thanks for joining us. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, we have over 1,000 subscribers now on the YouTube channel. Thank you for all of the support. Let's continue to build this community. Subscribe to this channel. Rate and review. If you're listening on Apple Pods and Spotify, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Slide in a comment. And let's get rolling. All right, Patriots, let's start there. Bill Belichick has lost the Patriots way. You all now know what happened with J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones by this point. I was driving down yesterday to Virginia Beach, keeping track of all of the stories, all of the rumors, all of the reports, and we know J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones disciplinary action happened last Sunday. During that Commanders game, Bill Belichick decided to not play Jack Jones until the second quarter. He decided to sit J.C. Jackson for the first couple of defensive series, and it's because of a bunch of off-the-field things here that led to ultimately last week, where apparently, according to Mike Reese, Jackson missed curfew at the team hotel on Saturday. Jack Jones also missed curfew. No bueno. Mike Giardi on Jackson said a team source called Jackson unreliable and uncoachable, not what you're looking for. Jeff Howe on the situation after we found out that Jackson was not going to Germany this weekend. He wasn't at practice yesterday. Jeff Howe posted this on X. Patriots told Jackson to stay home due to a combination of factors, which is why he was listed as a non-participant in practice. Those factors include missed curfew, attitude, and performance. Howe posted that Jackson was already slated to be used in a reserve role Sunday against the Commanders due to performance reasons, but the missed curfew at the team hotel has partly caused this situation to carry over another week. The players are feeling emboldened, man. I'll tell you that right now. Players are not concerned. They do not fear Bill Belichick. They're not worried whatsoever of the repercussions of their actions. And this is a different kind of vibe happening in New England right now. Not only the record at 2-7, not only all of the questions about the coach, the GM, the quarterback, but also now other guys in that locker room that are not getting with the program. They're not worried. They're not concerned. They look at the record. They might be saying to themselves, what's Bill going to do? Is Bill actually going to sit me? Is Bill going to release me? This team's not good. They need me right now. These guys are emboldened. They're full of themselves, some of them, obviously. No care in the world, no worry in the world. And they know that. They know that Belichick is not in the position to do anything with this roster right now, to release them and let them walk and have Sean Wade out there week after week after week, elevating a guy from the practice squad. Right now, they're not in that spot. It might get to that point because now the cat's out of the bag and everybody knows what's going on, and Belichick might feel like he has to now do something stronger with these two guys than he has already done. But Belichick has lost the Patriots' way. Everything we thought that we knew. How many strikes is Jack Jones going to get? Coming out of college, we knew the off-the-field stories. We knew that's why this young man dropped down to the middle of the draft. It wasn't because of talent. Talent's never been an issue. He was a 5-star coming out of high school. He performed in college when he played. The reason why he dropped was because of the off-the-field issues. Belichick knew what he was dealing with. He had to. He knew it because I knew it. Jones was suspended at the end of last season. They kept him on the team. He went through the Logan Airport situation. They kept him on the team. And now he's missing curfew. He's posting on X all of this ridiculous stuff. I mean, how many times does this guy have to swing and miss to be let go from this football team? How many strikes is he going to get? It's ludicrous. And this is Belichick reaping what you sow. Because not only was Jack Jones an issue, so was J.C. Jackson. J.C. Jackson's past is well known. He had off-the-field issues. A very similar story to Jack Jones. It's the reason why J.C. Jackson went undrafted. It wasn't because of talent. Jackson had enough talent to get drafted. You see the guys getting drafted into the league? He had more than enough talent to be drafted, just like Jack Jones. Jack Jones fell in the draft because of off-field issues. J.C. Jackson fell out of the draft because of off-field issues. And you go back to 2021, the Patriots knew Jackson was an issue. Mike Giardi wrote this yesterday at Boston Sports Journal. This is one of the least surprising results in a season that has not gone remotely as expected. The Pats had almost zero interest in retaining Jackson's services when he hit free agency after the 21 season. Giardi continues, I'm sure you read that they made a reasonable offer. I reported it then, and I'm here to tell you now those reports were bogus. Coaches were disgusted. Pretty serious word, right? Coaches were disgusted with Jackson's effort in the postseason loss at Buffalo, and he has long been someone whose maturity levels have challenged teams at every stop, be it the University of Maryland, New England, and before his return here in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Jackson has long been an issue. Kept him on the team, brought him in, traded for him. Jones has long been an issue since he's been drafted here, still on the team. And if that's not bad enough, neither guy spoke after that Washington game on Sunday. Where's the accountability? Where is the accountability from these guys? Why is Belichick not keeping them accountable? Why is he not having them talk to the media and say, yeah, I might have screwed up? Now, I get it. He might be concerned about throwing gasoline on the fire. But imagine being a Patriot in that locker room, looking across and knowing that J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones both are screwing around. They're missing curfew. They seem like they couldn't care less when they're on the field. Imagine being somebody like a Jonathan Jones. Imagine being Jonathan Jones and looking across and knowing what those two guys are up to. Knowing that the secondary is struggling, knowing that Christian Gonzalez is not coming back, and you look across the room, and those guys are doing what they're doing, and they get to play. But they not only get to play on Sunday, they don't have to fess up and stand in front of the media in the postgame. Why is Jonathan Jones having to answer questions for those two guys? If I'm Jones, I'm wondering, why am I the one that has to stand up and talk about these two being knuckleheads? Why is it my responsibility? Why do I have to answer these questions? And Belichick, he was asked questions after the game. Belichick had an opportunity at the podium to address this, to send a message to the players, right? Belichick had a chance to send a message not only to Jack Jones and J.C. Jackson, but he had an opportunity to send a message to everybody else on this roster in that locker room who are doing things the right way. And what did Belichick do? He did Belichick. Same old, same old. Told the media that neither players were benched. Which obviously, now that we know what's going on, we know they were benched. Belichick didn't say anything. He said everybody played. He was asked why they were benched. Everybody played. They all played. So Belichick lumped in Jackson and Jack Jones with everybody else on the team, with every other defensive back. If you are a defensive back, again, Jonathan Jones, Miles Bryant, anybody, any of the 55 safeties they have on this roster, if you're anybody in the defensive backfield and you hear Belichick say, oh, well, everybody played, and you hear the head coach and the GM lumping in these two headaches with you, how do you feel after watching them get out there and actually play? After flipping the bird to you and everybody else by not showing up in time or on time. Just it's ridiculous. Belichick was asked a follow-up question. So Jack Jones sitting out was not disciplinary. Belichick's answer, we played all the corners. I think we played all the safeties. I think we played everybody on defense. Bill being Bill. Where's the accountability, Bill? Why are these guys still on the team? I couldn't care less if you lose football games. We'll get to that in a minute. I don't care less if these guys hurt your chances of winning games at this point. Do you not draw the line? They're making a mockery of you. They're making a mockery of their teammates. They're making a mockery of the entire franchise. J.C. Jackson's not going to Germany. Great. Why is he even here? Why is he still here? Why? Again, get to that in a minute. But Belichick, at the podium, you don't have to, sit there and give us something that's earth-shattering. I understand there's a level of protection here, and you don't want to embarrass people. But Belichick's been around for 50 years. He knows how to send the message. And by what he said at the podium was not sending a message. And by playing Jackson and Jack Jones both on Sunday against Washington, that's not sending a message. You're not sending a message with your words. You're not sending a message with your actions. So therefore, you're not sending a message, full stop, period, end of it. What are we doing? What is happening here? And let's just mention for a minute the ridiculous inconsistency from Belichick. Pop Douglas fumbles the football. What happens to Pop Douglas? He's benched the rest of that game. Hardly plays the next few weeks. Even though Pop seemingly does everything right off the field, even though he's working his ass off, even though he's your best receiver as a 6th-round freaking pick, you bench him because he fumbles during a game. And you pretty much, for all intents and purposes, put mothballs on the guy for a few weeks. So a fumble due to a hard, good play from Chubb of Miami going back to week 2, because that guy made a play and Pop Douglas fumbled, you bench Douglas. You bench Pop for the rest of that game. But yet you've got J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones running amok. And it's like, well, now you're going to bench J.C. Jackson after you gave him 10 chances. Now he doesn't get to go to Germany. You think J.C. Jackson cares? You gave him a 2-week vacation. Next week's the bye. You think he cares right now? So why is Pop Douglas getting benched for an on-field honest mistake when the guy's trying to make a play? But you got these two guys running around like no big deal. Why is Kayshon Boutte inactive after his best week of practice? And you're activating 4 wide receivers on a Sunday because you're shoehorning both of these cornerbacks who don't deserve to be out there. You're shoehorning them in on the roster, making them active and actually playing them on Sunday. The inconsistency is embarrassing from this head coach. Embarrassing. In this whole situation with Jackson and Jack Jones, it just highlights, it underscores, it puts it in bold, Belichick's desperation to win football games. And as I've said over and over and over again, I understand the head coach's job is to win football games. That's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're paid to do. But the desperation, the fact that he's clinging on to both of these guys because he knows there's nothing better behind them. And it's not just performance-based. Again, if it was performance-based, whatever. You make those decisions week to week. But this is a situation where these guys are missing curfew. They're thumbing their nose at you. And you're so desperate because you don't have enough talent on this roster that you play both of them last Sunday. And you still lost. You pretty much gave up your soul. You gave no accountability. You looked flaccid in front of the rest of the team to lose a game to a team that's ownership is actively trying to not win football games for the rest of this year. Was it worth it, Bill? I mean, how embarrassing could this get? The inconsistencies from him. Desperate to get to that Don Shula record at any cost. And the precedent is set now. If you're a Patriot, why not miss curfew? If you're out in Germany now, why not slam back a couple of brats and some Marzens? Whew, that sounds good. Do that this weekend. but why not? Why not slam back a brat or two, couple beers, show up the next day late, curfew? Oh, well, I'm in Germany. You play J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones. You can play me. You don't think Juju Smith-Schuster's thinking, well, I could do pretty much whatever I want at this point with where the wide receiver room is? You set the precedent. You allowed these guys to run your yard. Inexcusable. All right, we'll get to another issue about all of this stuff with Belichick in a minute. But first, we start the march towards 2,000 subscribers. We hit 1,000 a few days ago, trying to get to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube now. If you haven't joined the family, please do so. Also, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Take a second of your time and give us that thumbs up. More eyeballs with more thumbs. Comment as well. Woke up this morning, went back and forth with some of you in the comments. Love doing that. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Pods, rate and review. Another issue with Belichick is this bubble. It is this bubble that he has created. I'm a professional wrestling fan. And when Vince McMahon was running WWE, a lot of people would talk about the Vince bubble. And a lot of people talk about the wrestling bubble. There's a lot of people in the pro wrestling world that have a hard time understanding what reality is at times because they're stuck in this professional wrestling bubble. And Belichick has built this bubble in New England. The Patriots franchise is one big fat ass bubble. And Belichick is at the epicenter of that bubble. And Belichick with full autonomy. When you look at the autonomy he has, right? He does what he wants to do with Jackson and Jones. Belichick does whatever he wants to do with JC and Jack because he ain't worried about it. There's no checks and balances. Without the checks and balances, Belichick is free to do whatever he wants. No matter what, he does whatever he wants. As we saw during the trading deadline, Robert Kraft is not getting involved in football matters, especially during the season. Kraft's not stepping in. Kraft's not stepping in and drawing the line. Kraft's not holding Bill Belichick accountable and responsible for his actions during the season. He's sitting back and letting this thing unfold. So there's no checks and balances. Belichick gets to do whatever he wants, when he wants, and how he wants to do it. And that worked for 20 years. Hasn't worked nearly as well post-Brady, has it? Not working out this year, is it? So without those checks and balances, Belichick remains in this bubble, steadfast that he's doing the right thing at all freaking times. The owner's not holding his feet to the fire. So just like J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones feel emboldened, Belichick feels emboldened. Belichick is not holding J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones as accountable as he should be. Robert Kraft is not holding Belichick accountable as he should be. And therefore, Belichick, he gets to do whatever he wants to do. And this is how it works. Look at the coaching staff. Who is going to stand up to Bill Belichick on that coaching staff? Bill O'Brien, from what I understand, my conversations with Greg Bedard on that podcast, other people have said this. Bill O'Brien, he's the teapot with the players. But Bill O'Brien doesn't challenge guys above him very often, if at all. So O'Brien is not going to sit there and have a fight with Bill Belichick about a topic. He's not going to do that. Who's the defensive coordinator on game day, the defensive play caller? Oh, yeah, his son. You think his son is going to stand up and have this vociferous fight with his father over personnel? Gerard Mayo, former player of Belichick's. Do you think Mayo is going to walk in there and have this knockdown, drag-out fight? Don't even talk about special teams, please. Joe Judge? Adrian Clem, former player, new guy in town. You think he's going to battle? Now out with a health issue. Hopefully Adrian's okay. But Belichick, he has a staff that knows one way right now. He has a staff that I think is unwilling to battle him day in and day out on the decisions that are made. Because if the owner's not going to stand up, then what are they going to do about it? You're peeing against the wind. So he's got a staff that just, hey, we're just going to keep rolling. The front office is full of Bill Belichick underlings. You think Matt Groh's going to walk downstairs and say, Bill, we've got to release J.C. Jackson right now? Do you think he's going to walk downstairs and say, we can't do this with Jack Jones anymore? Enough is enough? When his father, Al Groh, is best buddies, BFFs with Belichick, and Belichick has helped raise this guy in the football world? The front office is full of Belichick disciples and underlings. The coaching staff is full of Belichick disciples and underlings, and his own family. You think anybody's going to stand up? It's Bill's way. It's just how it works. And you just can't help but question, is this one big bubble of yes men? To the point where Belichick is free to do whatever he wants, even if people in the room are looking at it going, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. Now, I don't know. Maybe he's been challenged every once in a while, but does it feel that way? It doesn't feel that way to me. Do you think Gerard Mayo and Steve Belichick are thrilled that Jackson and Jack Jones are doing what they're doing and still playing, and that they have to deal with the defensive players at defensive meetings? They've got to deal with that room. I'm gonna guess and say no. They're not thrilled. Guess. And it's, Belichick is judge, jury, and executioner of the New England Patriots franchise. And he's running this thing off the road. All right. I'll have some thoughts on the C's loss last night. But first, don't forget to rate and review Spotify, Apple Pods. Give us those 5 stars if you got them. And on YouTube, subscribe to the channel first and foremost. Give us that thumbs up as well. Means an awful lot. And comment. We'll go back and forth. All right. Celtics lose in Philadelphia last night, 106-103. I'm driving down to Virginia Beach. True story. Kelly has the tablet in the passenger seat. And red lights, I'm looking over. Long stretches of straight road, I'm looking over every once in a while. I'm watching this game as I'm driving down because I need help. But they end up losing 106-103. And really, before the final 3 minutes of this game, Jaylen Brown was hideous. He was atrocious offensively. The basketball IQ on the offensive end last night from Jaylen was at a high school level. The basketball IQ wasn't there. Driving into traffic again. There was one time where he gets the ball, I think it was a rebound off the rebound, and he's dribbling up, and I'm sitting there as I'm driving, and I'm saying, get rid of it, 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 get rid of it. He never gets rid of it. What happens? Tries to dribble through a double team, turnover, dunk on the other end. His shot selection was trash. Now, I'm not one of those guys that doesn't believe Jaylen Brown's good. Jaylen Brown's really good. He's a top 20 player in the league when he's at his best. But I can't argue, I can't debate that there are moments, there are games when you watch Jaylen and you wonder, what the hell is he thinking? How can a guy at his level in that league do that? And there were lots of those moments last night. He stunk until the final 3 minutes. Then he made some plays. He woke up, hit a couple of threes, had a nice block shot on the defensive end. But Jaylen for 95% of that game was awful. I didn't think Tatum was very good last night. I thought he lacked urgency. Lazy closeouts on corner threes. A little bit too much of the dribble show. But aside from not showing that urgency that I would like to see from him, I also thought that, I've been talking about Tatum and his ability to diversify his offensive portfolio. He was not diversifying that offensive portfolio as much last night as he had in the first 5 games. And we saw some of that as well against Minnesota. Some old bad habits are creeping in the last 6 quarters for Brown and Tatum. And they've got to get rid of those bad habits quickly. Tatum did not drive enough last night. He didn't post up enough last night. I mean, he made 4 shots inside 3-point land. And it's just, 6 of 14 and 16 points. I give him credit. He had 15 rebounds and 6 assists. As the game went on, I did think he got a little bit more engaged. But in the first half, it was like he just wasn't embracing the challenge every possession. I'll put it that way. He wasn't engaged every possession. And that has to change. You're inevitably only as good as your best player. So I thought Brown was hideous until the final 3 minutes. I didn't think Tatum was very good. And when those two guys are playing like that, it's almost impossible to win a basketball game, especially when you're on the road against a team like Philly. And I give the credit to the guys that they didn't give up. But it should not have been, an 11, 12, 15-point lead for Philly. It's not like Philly was playing great basketball. I thought the second quarter, especially, was uninspiring from the Celtics. They got out-hustled. They got outplayed. They at times did not look like they wanted to be there, frankly, in that second quarter. They were up by 11 in that second quarter. And all of a sudden, things swung dramatically. Philadelphia scored 39 points in that second quarter. And really, a lot of it was just, hey, they wanted it more than you wanted it. The second quarter was bad, man. Defensive rebounding is a problem for stretches. Philadelphia had 12 offensive rebounds. They had a bunch of second chance points. Those came back to bite you. So the defensive rebounding has to be better. The urgency, they have to be engaged. We talked about it through the first 5 games, how professional they played, how engaged they were. We haven't seen that consistently in the last 2 games, and I don't think it's a coincidence that you lost both games. And yes, Minnesota and Philadelphia are both good teams. But I'm just looking at the Celtics. The shot selection wasn't as good. The urgency wasn't as high. Those things have to change. Ball movement, man movement wasn't as consistent, getting a little sticky. I thought both Tatum and Brown got into a little bit of the mano-a-mano versus Anthony Edwards on Monday night. So that has to stop. You've got to get back to what got you to 5-0. And yes, it would help if they made some shots. I mean, they've missed a bunch of shots, but a lot of missing the shots is because they're not taking good ones. They're not moving the ball. They're not moving. They're not cutting as much. Sam Hauser cut last night, gets a layup out of it. They're not cutting as much. Porzingis, couple rim runs, couple dunks, couple missed dunks that hurt when you lose by 3. Speaking of Porzingis, I thought he was really good. 29, 6, and 3 last night. He shot 10 of 19 from the floor, 2 of 6 from 3. The last look that he got was a good look. He just didn't make it. Not gonna kill him for that. But I thought Porzingis was tremendous. Peyton Pritchard, 16 minutes, 0 points. I don't know. That's got to turn around at some point. That's got to change at some point. Pritchard has to give this team some scoring juice off the bench. He's been brutal. Unsure of himself. Not as aggressive for long stretches. Just not good enough. Horford was 1 of 6 from 3. He had 3 points on the night. He was a minus 23. Big Al was a minus 23 last night. And Horford usually defends Joel Embiid really well. Embiid ate his lunch last night. Horford was dominated by Joel Embiid. And if that's going to be the case, you better find a big man who can body up these bigger centers in the league. Because as we've discussed before, that's not a Porzingis strength. Porzingis is not strong enough to defend Joel Embiid. He's not strong enough to defend Brook Lopez. It's not his game. And he didn't have a good night against Bam Adebayo. So finding a third big, as much as Scalabrine loves Luke Cornett for whatever reason, finding a third big that can give you defensive rebounding and can actually hold their water a little bit against these bigger guys, it's starting to become a thing. And I've said that from the beginning, but you might have a little bit more urgency after watching Al last night struggle defending Joel. That was a surprise. I also don't understand Coach Mazzulla. He plays Mihailuk and Stevens early on in Minnesota. Early in the first half, he plays both those guys, and last night they don't play a minute. I don't get it. How do they play in the first half against Minnesota and then they don't play at all last night against Philly? What changed so dramatically? I don't know. Maybe he's just still trying to figure out his rotations, but tough loss for the C's last night, 106-103. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Again, thanks, Apple Pod, Spotify, rate and review, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Everybody enjoy your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, it's the Nick Cattle Show.